Exception handling. How to handle exceptions and why? What is the need to handle exceptions? Java is object-oriented programming language. That means in our application what we do, we create objects and we expect them to work by calling methods on it. Right? Suppose I have created a class. Right? Let's assume that you have some database and you have a table in database. Okay? I have written a class. Suppose you have an employee table. This table is employee table. And I have a class called as employee in my application. Take a scenario. This employee table, let's assume that it has ID, name, city, country, salary, 5 columns. For 5 columns in this table, there are 5 variables in employee class. Public getters, setters. Right? Now, assume that I wrote a class which will access the database. I wrote a class called as employee DAO. Generally, we use this convention DAO, data access object. DAO stands for data access objects. Generally, the class which contains database specific code, we call them as DAOs or DAOs. We call DAO, DAO, DAO. Somebody pronounced as DAO or DAO anyway. So employee DAO I wrote, and I gave a method inside this employee DAO. I wrote a method called as get all employees. Here assume that I wrote some code which will interact with database, fire a query, select start from employees, and then it will return you an employee array. Array of all employees. Suppose in database there are 100 employees, it will return me an array of size 100. Right? I gave this class to you and asked you to print all the employee names. Will you be able to print? How? You will create an object of employee DAO, new employee DAO, and then call get all employees. Get all employees is not taking any parameters. Just to call get all employees, you will be getting an array of employee objects. You will iterate over these employee objects and print it. So there are two parts, employee DAO and your application. So you relied on me. Okay, she was a good programmer. Assume. Okay, she was a good programmer, and you believed me, and you directly used that employee DAO in your application, right? But is it possible that this class will not work in some scenarios? Because I am a great programmer, will it work always? So tell me some scenarios where this will not work. What if database server is down? Database server is down, my code will not be able to extract the employees from the database, right? So this code which I wrote may not always work. Just because this code is not working, you cannot say that I am a bad programmer. So my code might be dependent on some environment. So if your network is down, database my code is not able to reach your database server and network is down. So that is not problem of my code, right? So whenever I am writing some classes, you cannot expect that this will run 100% in all cases. There may be some exceptional scenarios where my code may not work, right? So I bought a mobile for some 10,000. I throw it in water. Will it work? No. Then I will raise a complaint on this mobile manufacturer saying, hey, what for 10,000 just to pick up, kept it in water, it didn't work. I am expecting it to work, even though I throw it in water. What's the problem? So will I win the case? No, why? Huh? Did the manufacturer tell me that it is not waterproof? Yes, they might have told. When you bought your mobile, you might be getting a booklet or a voucher, something like that kind of thing. So in that, if you read the instructions, they'll say, don't keep it in cold places, water, or in hot places. Right? So I know that this mobile will not work if it is not kept in water, because they have given the instructions. Right? So this is the one which I gave. This is my product. My mobile is Samsung mobile. Suppose Samsung will say, hey, don't keep it in water. So I know that. This is my class. This is my one. I gave it to you. How do you know that this will not work? I should say, or my code should say, right? So whenever there is a problem that it will not work, my code should somehow hint you. You are going to call a method called as get employees. Whenever you call get employees, my code should generate an error saying, hey, this is not going to help, this is not going to run always. You need to handle some exceptional scenarios. Right? So then only you will take care. And write, okay, if this fails, do some alternate logic. Right? Instead of getting it from database, you may want to get it from a file. If this logic fails, you may write an alternative logic to get all the employee details from some file. Right? So whenever we are writing our code, the code may not work always. There might be some exceptional scenarios. If you know that your code is not going to work in some scenarios, your method, whenever this method is called, right, then only the user who is using this code should get a compilation error saying you should handle this exceptional scenario. Then no problems. Even though I give you my code, the compiler says, whenever you call this method, the compiler says, handle this exception scenario. Then you know that and you will handle it. If you are not handling, that's up to you. That's your problem. Right? If the mobile manufacturer says don't keep it in water, and if you still keep it in water, that's your problem. Right? So, but from my side, from my code should say, hey, don't, please take care. My code should say, please take care. Right? So how to make your code to generate a compilation error when there is an exceptional scenario. Right? Let's start with simple example. Okay. What I want to do is I want to write a simple class which will read the contents of a file. Okay. If I give a file path to the class, it should read the file contents and print it on the console. That's the only thing which it should do. So I'm trying to write such class. I'll just create a new project. You can also do parallelly with me. Exception handling. Till now I didn't talk about what is exception handling. I'll talk with example. Okay, I'm going to write a new class in a package com.mysys. I'll write my file reader because already there's an existing class called as file reader. So in order not to confuse, I'll say my file reader. Okay, so file reader is having a method called as read. Public return type is int read. Suppose, okay, instead of saying such a complex thing, I'll say public void print. And my file reader has one variable private string file name, and I'll give a constructor for this. So I just wrote such a class. Now I want to tell that this print method will be having some logic for printing the file contents, this file contents to console. But this print method may not work always. Tell me when this print method may not work. Yeah. What if I give a wrong file name? It may not be existing. So this print method may not work. Right? So I need to tell, if somebody is trying to call this print method, they should get a compilation error. Right? So just compare this, I will show you what to do. I'll try to call this print method in a demo file. I'll write a new class, exception demo. I'll take main. I will just create an object of my file reader. File reader is equals to new my file reader, and I'll have to pass a file name. So I'll just say c colon a dot txt. Okay, the file is not actually existing. Then I'll say file reader dot print. Right? I'm calling, but compiler, I'm not getting any compilation error. Right? But there is probability that print method may fail because of spelling mistake. Right? So I want the compiler to give me an error. Just like the manufacturer giving me a warning, don't keep in water. My object, whenever I'm calling a method on my object, the compiler should give me an error, right? That's what I want. So what I can do is, in file reader, I'll write some condition. See, in this print method, what I need to do, here the code will be to print the content of the file to console. Here, first of all, before printing, I should check whether this file is really existing or not. Right? So I just write some logic. Boolean is file exists is equals to false. Just I'm hard coding. I'll say if is file exists is equals to false, the file is not existing, then what I'll do is I'll say throw. First of all, I'll create an object. There is a class called as exception. Exception present in Java.lang. Exception E is equals to new exception. See here, there are various overloaded constructors of exception. Right? The default one, this one is taking string. So I'll use the second one and pass here string saying file is not found. Give some message. Then I'll say throw E. So I'm using a keyword called as throw and declaring that at this line the exception object should be thrown. E is an exception object. Right? I'm getting a compilation error. So in this method, print method, there is a chance that exception object is thrown. There is a chance, right? So your method should declare that it throws. So the syntax is like this. You should make your method throws exception. What type? Exception. So your method, print method, is declaring that it throws. That means the meaning of this is, the meaning of this throws clause is, there is a probability that this print method may throw an exception object. Right? So that's the meaning. Now, once I declare that my print method throws, see here in exception demo, I got a compilation error saying unhandled exception of type. Right? So it is just like my manufacturer, mobile manufacturer, giving a warning. Don't keep it in. So because my method has declared that it throws exception, here I got a warning. You have to handle that exceptional scenario. Right? So to handle, what you do is, see here I kept my cursor there, I there's a thing called a surround with try catch. I have an option surround with try catch. See here, in try block there is file reader print. That means I'm saying try these lines of code, try executing it. If some exception occurs, then the code will be executed, right? So catch block, actually this method is throwing what exception, what exception. So here catch block is taking, right. So I'll just delete this now and I'll say system.out.println caught. So what is the meaning here? When it is trying to execute something in try block, if an exception is thrown, then catch block will be executed. So in catch block, can I write my alternate logic? So suppose if reading that file fails, I may write alternate logic to read from some other file or whatever, right? So this is how we can handle exceptions. So be careful whenever you are writing any class, your own class, you have to declare the exception scenarios, right? So now I'll just run it. Let's see what will happen. See here, oh, caught exception is it, and I'll try to print plus e dot get message. What I'll tell you what is this get message. First I'll run. See here, what is it? The message file not found, whatever I wrote in the constructor of. So what am I doing here? Whenever I am writing my logic, I am checking some exceptional condition. If some condition is satisfied, I am creating an exception object. In that exception object, I am keeping some message. Whenever an exception is thrown, it should contain some details. Why this exception has occurred? This exception has occurred because file is not found. So the message of exception, why is exception handling? Some message, so that the user will understand. This part here, and then I am declaring the rows. So whenever an exception occurs, whenever this line is executed, the rest of the lines will not be executed. The control will go from here to the caller. Who is calling this print method? Here. Here this main thread is calling the print method, right? So here exception is thrown at this line, the control will come to the catch block and the rest of the code also will be executed, right? So by making your class to throw an exception, your code is very clean. Now here if you take this DO, this method should declare that it throws some connection failed exception, something, so that whoever is calling this method will know, okay, if connection is not there, it will not go, right? Any doubts till now? I'll elaborate on throw an exception object method, right? Can I throw a string object? I'll just try to throw a string object. Let's see. It's giving me a compilation error. So if you want to throw an object, all objects cannot be throwable. If you want to throw an object, it should be throwable, right? Can you throw a big rock? No, it's not throwable. If you want to throw something, it should be throwable, right? So exception, if you see here, exception class is extending throwable is extending. So if you want to throw some object, it should be subclass of throwable. You cannot throw string because string is not subclass of throwable. If you want to throw some object, it should be subclass of throwable. Exception is a predefined class, it is subclass of throwable. Right? You can throw any exception or any of its subclasses. See, these are all the directly known subclasses to exception. Right? Now under that exception, see, these are all subclasses. There is one thing you need to understand here. There is a class called as runtime exception, an exception which can occur at runtime. And if I click on this runtime exception, there are a lot of subclasses of runtime exception, right? No need to worry about all these exceptions. Just understand there are two types: classes which are subclass of runtime exceptions, classes which are not subclass of. So I classify exceptions into two types: classes which are subclass of runtime exceptions, classes which are not subclass of. So classes which are not subclass of runtime exceptions are called as compile time exceptions. Exceptions can be classified into two types: compile time exceptions, runtime exceptions. Right? What are runtime exceptions? Any class which is subclass of runtime exception is a runtime exception. Any class which is not subclass of runtime exception is a compile time exception. Why this classification? Right? See here. In my code, previously what I did, I have thrown exception, right? Exception, is it a compile time exception or runtime exception? Compile time, it is not subclass of runtime exception. Exception is superclass, runtime exception is subclass. So exception is not runtime exception, so it is a compile time exception, right? Whenever my code is throwing a compile time exception, compiler will give an error. See here, I'll just remove this. Here my code is throwing a compile time exception, but my method is not declaring it throws. So compiler is giving a error, right? But what if I am throwing a runtime exception new? I'll say new runtime exception, and I'll say file not found. So my code is now throwing runtime exception. Am I getting any compilation error? So if my code is throwing a runtime exception, compiler will not care. Compiler will not give you a error. Right? So runtime exceptions are not checked by the compiler. If you are catching or not catching, compiler will not bother. Right? So runtime exceptions are not checked by your compiler. Or runtime exceptions are also called as unchecked exceptions. Compiler will not check whether you are handling it or not. Right? Compiler will not give any error. So runtime exceptions are also called as what? Unchecked exceptions. Compiler will not care whether you are checking, whether you are handling it, and other things are checked by the compiler. If your code is throwing compile time exception, you get a compiler. Or we say that these are called as checked exceptions. These are unchecked exceptions, right? So you understood that exceptions are of two types: exceptions which are checked by compiler, and exceptions which are not checked by. So if I want to write my own exception class, what I can do? I can extend exception. If I make my class to extend exceptions, will it be checked exception? If I make my class to extend runtime exception, it will be unchecked exception, right? So if I want to write my own exception, there are two choices. I can either extend exception or runtime. So depending upon your scenario, whether you want to create a runtime exception or compile time exception, you can but most of the times we always create compile time exceptions. Okay. Superclass of all exceptions I told. Throwable. Object is superclass of everyone, but for all exceptions throwable, because if you want to throw, it should be throwable. It should be subclass of. So if you want to create your own exception, can you make a class extending throwable also? You create an object of class which is extending throwable, it can be thrown. But if you extend throwable, what type of exception is it? Runtime or compile time? Compile time. It's not subclass of runtime. So it's any doubts till now? When exception occurs at a line, the next lines are not executed. The corresponding catch block will be executed. Okay. Now,
Catch block must be immediately followed by deadlock.
yeah, after try, we should have a catch block with the syntax. Try, and after we should have. Right? I'll talk about various scenarios, how to keep try catches. Yeah, this is the simplest scenario which we talked till now, right? Next, once you understand that, I'll try to write system.out.println. I'll just write int I is equals to 10, int j is equals to 0, and I'll try to print I by j. What will happen? I'm trying to divide 10 by 0. Okay, here I hard coded 0. Let's assume this value for j is passed as command line argument. Okay. You don't know what is the value of j. If j is 0, you are trying to divide by 0, which is a exceptional scenario. Can the JVM execute divide by 0? No. So who is executing this code? JVM main thread. Main thread is executing, right? So that thread will create an object of arithmetic exception, right, and throw it. Let's see. I will just comment this line. Again, I will run it. Oh, what is it? I got card exception as divided by 0, or I will just write here e dot. There's a method called as print stack trace. What do I mean by stack trace? Stack trace. Every thread will be having a stack. Remember, all the variables, local variables of the method are kept in stack. Whenever a method call is happening, whenever we call a method, the details of method call will be present inside the stack. So what is happening whenever I say e dot print stack trace, it will print the trace of stack. Here you can understand easily that at line number 13 of our exception demo.java, this arithmetic exception has arithmetic exception is the time of exception. This is the message. Earlier my message was file not found. Here the exception message is /i divided by. Who is creating this arithmetic exception? JV, coming thread is creating an arithmetic. But did I catch it? Whenever I am trying to call I by j, did I get a compilation error? No, I didn't even catch it. So what type of exception is this arithmetic exception? Runtime exception. Yes, here in this code there is a probability of exception, but I didn't get any compilation error. So that was a runtime exception. Runtime exception, is it subclass of exception? Yes, but my catch block is taking exception. If anything is taking superclass reference, you can pass it in subclass object. So if in this code, if any subclass of exception is thrown also, yes, what? Right? So catch block which is taking exception can catch is exception or subclass of exceptions. Any subclass of exceptions. Right? Any doubts here till now? in this try block there is a possibility of two types of exceptions. The one which my method is throwing, fit method is throwing, and arithmetic exception. I want to execute different types of code. If arithmetic exception occurs, I want to execute different logic. If exception occurs, I want to execute different logic. Right? So here in try block there are two exceptions, possibility of two exceptions. What I can do is I could write one catch block for arithmetic exception. See, after try I am writing a catch, but both catch blocks should not take same type. Here I will make it as arithmetic exception, and here I will write some logic e dot right, or whatever logic I want to write. Right. So now that means what I can say is one try can have two catches, more than one catch, any number of catches, 100 catches. One try can have 100 catches, 1000 catches. Not right. One try can have a number of catches. Now, what will happen if this print method throws an exception? The control will come from here directly to it will match. What is the exception thrown? Exception, right? Will it execute this code? It will come here. So only the matching catch blocks are executed, right? So tell me, one simple scenario I tell. What if here exception, here arithmetic exception is there?
The exception is to consider. The code will go to exception of type exception.
Yeah. Suppose if I exchange exception and arithmetic exception here exception is there. But assume that in this case, assume that print method is not throwing exception. It came here, it will throw arithmetic exception. This is exception, this is arithmetic exception. Right? So this is exception. Will arithmetic exception be caught here? Exception is so put as a arithmetic exception. This one will execute. Will this execute? Will the catch block for arithmetic exception execute? No. See here. Just change it. Here I will make it as exception, and here I will make it as arithmetic exception. Right. Always this will be executed because exception is supercut of all exception. Always this will be executed. This will never get executed. So this is not reachable. So see the error, compilation error. What is it saying? Unreachable catch block. Always this will be matched by everyone. Not be matched. So it is unreachable. So you are getting a compilation error. So what I want you to understand is whenever there are more than one catch blocks, the catch block which is taking superclass should be down. It should not be in front. Otherwise the other catch block will never be reachable. You get a compilation. So now I want some answer from you. If this method throws exception, will these lines be executed? But what if I surround this line alone with the try catch block? See what I do. I am here and I say try control space to write a try catch block. And inside try catch block I have another nested try block, right? Now there are some lines in this try block. Now see what happens. It will execute these lines, come here, an exception is thrown here. Will these lines be executed? It will come to here, executed. Then will these lines be executed? They will be, right? So you can have one try and another try. You can have nested tries. You can have try anywhere. Wherever you want, you can keep a try. Right? The corresponding catch block will be executed. If catch is executed, then once there is an exception, It will try to search for a catch block. Until catch block is found, it will go. Once catch block, matching catch block is found, that will be executed. If any of the catch block matches, that will be executed, then it will come. Right? Now, tell me what will happen in this case. Yeah. Now see here, just a small thing I want to tell you. Print method is throwing what exception? What is the type? Can I make my print method to declare that it throws throwable? Throwable is supercut, right? So I'm saying it throws throwable. Will the compiler agree? Exception is a throwable object, right? Print method is declaring that it throws throwable. You are throwing actual exception. Exception is a throwable object. That's fine. Compiler is satisfied. Right? But now coming here, why am I getting error? Exception is actually file method, file print is declaring that it throws throwable. So the catch block should contain throwable. Right? So what I want you to understand is, if in this method, if there is some exception x, there is some exception x being thrown, the method should declare that it throws either x or its superclass. Now coming back, see here, whatever I am doing is correct or not, tell me. Is it okay? My code is actually throwing runtime exception, but my print method is declaring it throws throwable. Runtime exception is supplies of throwable, that's fine. Now I will make, do I need to catch it now? Because my method is actually declaring it throws throwable. But if I'll make it as runtime exception, right? Do I need to catch it now here? My print method is declaring that it throws runtime exception. You need not catch. Compiler will not check whether or now I'll surround it with try block. Can I keep still that in try block? Yes, I can surround everything in a try block. Okay. Now here, instead of taking catch, I will say arithmetic exception. No, not arithmetic exception. Say index out of bounds. There is some exception, right? Now tell me, here in print method, actually what is the exception thrown? Runtime exception. Will it be caught here? Index out of bound exception is subclass of runtime. Now it is here if it is a superclass, then subclass of exception can be caught. No, here it will not be caught. Right? There is a catch block surrounding try, but it will not be caught here. Actual exception thrown is what? Runtime exception. So it will not be caught here. So if surrounding catch is not matching, again the control will go back to the next level catch. Right? Now, what is the next level catch? Arithmetic exception. Will it match? No. Will it match? So this will be. So all these statements will not be. Right? Now the scenario, what if I don't have a catch block which is taking? Now see the scenario. Print method is throwing runtime exception. It will not be caught here. Right? Will it be caught here? No. Are there any more catches? No. What will happen? There are no catches. After catch block, there are still some more lines of code. Will these lines be executed? No. Generally, when a method is having some exceptional code, the control will go to caller, whoever is calling. See here, at this line if exception is thrown, the rest of the lines will not be executed. The control will go to the caller of print method. Right? Now coming back here, in main method, this is in main method, an exception is thrown, but there is no corresponding catch. The control will go to its caller. Who is calling main method? Main thread. Main thread is calling main method. So the exception will go to the main thread. If the exception reaches till main thread will catch it and terminate itself and print the stack trace on the console. So if the exception propagates till the main thread, till the end, then the thread will terminate itself and then print the stack trace on the console. Let's see. See? Whoever at this line exception is thrown, at this line exception is thrown, propagate to main at line number 13. Here also it was not caught. Who caught? Main thread has caught, but it has printed the stack trace and terminated itself. Program is terminated. Right? So what happens? My question now, again it came to you, right? My question now is, if an exception is not caught, will the program terminate? Once the exception reaches the main thread, see here actually this is a whole try block, right? After this try block there are some more statements. Exception occurs somewhere here. This catch block didn't match. This catch block didn't match. The control will go to the caller. What about these statements? Not executed, right? So the control will go out of main method. Control went out of the main method. The control went to main thread. Main thread has printed the stack trace and terminated itself. Right? You understood clearly? Now again the same question. If an exception is not caught in a thread, will the program terminate? True, false. In this case, is the program terminate? In this case, it terminated. Right? So, keep it clearly in mind. How many threads can be there in my single Java program? N number of threads. But by default, there will be one main thread. Right? In my program, how many threads are there? How many threads are there? One single main thread is created by my web. Of course, in the background, garbage thread is there. There is a background thread. But my code is executed by a single thread. Right? Only one thread, main thread. So in that thread exception occurred, main thread terminated, right? So who will be executing your code? Some threads will be executing your code. So later we'll show, I'll show you tomorrow, you can create multi-threaded applications. Every thread will execute its own code. Right? Suppose if a thread 1 is executing some code, exception is thrown, it will propagate till the thread. Only that thread will be terminated, not the whole program. Many people say the program will be terminated. No. Only the current thread which is executing that code will be terminated, not the whole program. In the same program there might be n number of threads running parallelly. Right? The whole program will not terminate, only the thread in which an exception occurred will be terminated. Just analyze. Next. Sure. Okay. Here? Here? So whoever is calling this method should catch throwable, otherwise compiler will not.
Can it catch runtime exception again?
That's what, see here, I am catching runtime exception, but the compiler is not satisfied. This code is throwing what? Throwable. You should catch the throwable or its superclass. Superclass. So you should catch throwable, then only compiler will be satisfied. Or if you catch exception, will it be okay? No, throwable is superclass. So if this code is throwing some x, you should catch either x or its superclass. So this is not fine. When it is throwing throwable, catch. But what if you don't want to catch? If you don't want to catch, what you can do is you can make your main method to declare that it throws, right? If in a method there is a probability of exception to occur, if you want to catch, you can catch it by surrounding it to try catch block, or you can make that this method throws, right? So if an exception occurs here, is there any matching catch block for throwable? No. You will go to that call. Any doubts? So in your code, you can throw exception object. Generally, whenever we want to throw an object, whenever we want to tell to the caller, we'll generally create an object of exception like this and we'll throw it, generally, right? But when you are creating your own exception to the constructor, what you can pass some message, that's called a string, right? So this exception object which you are throwing, is it accessible in the catch block? In the catch block, suppose if this is taking exception, right? So if this print method is throwing an object of exception, that object is accessible here. So if there are any variables inside this exception, can I access it here? Inside the exception object, if there are any variables or any methods, I can access it here, right? Here I am calling a method called as print factor. If there are any variables inside that, I can access it. If there are any public variables. Right? Now, what all can I do when I want to throw an exception? I can create an exception object. See the constructors available. there is a constructor which is taking message, and there is one constructor which is taking throwable, and there is one constructor which is taking message and throwable. Message and throwable. This is the constructor. So what all you can do is you can pass a message, that's all. What if you want to pass some other object as part of your exception? Along with your exception object, you want to pass some other object also. Right? So if you want to pass some other object along with your exception, then you will write your own class. Right? Just see. What I am doing is I will create my own exception class. How to create my own exception class? By extending exception. So I will create new class, my exception, I will say. Extends here, superclass extends exception from Java class. Okay. Now in this, what I'll do is I'll create private object right? Then I can create a constructor using fields, right? What I'll do is I'll make my exception class to take string message. In superclass exception, is there a constructor which is taking message? See, these are all the exceptions, superclass constructors. So I can pass the same message, right? So now this is my own exception class, right? How to create it? By passing some object as well as message. Now in my file reader, what I'll do is I'll try to create my exception object, my exception. What is the first parameter? An object. Object is superclass. I can pass anything, right? Suppose along with this exception object, if I want to pass some other object, I can pass it. Any object I can pass. Either database connection object or something else, right? So right now I'll pass some string object for now, for simplicity, and this is the message. File not found, right? So my catch block, my print method is throwing, okay, I'll say my exception, right? My print method is declaring that it throws my exception. Coming to exception demo, I'll remove that main throws. Is it okay? This is the whole try block. This is catching exception, but this print method is throwing my exception. Will it be handled here in catch block? Yes, my exception is subset of. Yes. But now what I'll do is I'll just make my catch block to take my exception, right? Now can I access e dot? Okay. How to access this private variable? I'll give a getter and right. Now can I access e dot get object? I'll be getting the object which is passed. Right? And if I want to do some logic by using O, I can do it, right? Along with your exception object which you are throwing, if you want to pass some other details also, some other objects also, what we have to do is you have to write your own class extending, and you will be able to access those methods present inside the class, right? So when do you want to create your own exception? Along with your exception object, if you want to pass something else also, then you can create your own. And how to create your own exception is by extending. But if I want this exception to be runtime exception, by default, this is compile time exception, right? If I want this to be runtime exception, should extend. Any doubts till now? Yeah. Still some more things to be learned about exceptions. Like one more scenario I want to discuss is I am having a class X, simple class X, and I'll have public void method X, sorry, method A declares that it throws my exception. Okay, then I will write a subclass of X. Y extends X, and then I will try to override method A. Overriding, right? In superclass, method A is declaring that it throws my exception. In subclass, do I need to make my method to throw exception or not? Shall I just delete it? If I delete it, super.a, you need not call super.a. You can write some other code, right? In superclass, if my method is throwing exception, the overridden method subclass need not throw. It may throw the same exception, but it need not. Any doubts? But can I say that it throws exception? Actually, in superclass, I declared my exception. My exception is subclass of exception. But here in this overridden method, I am saying that yes, it throws. Why is the error? So what the point you need to understand here, first, the overridden method should throw is the same exception, or it need not throw the exception, right? But it cannot throw any other exception. It should throw the same exception. It cannot throw other exception, right? What do I mean by it? Let me just tell you with a simple example. I will write a demo here. Superclass reference can point to subclass object. True? Reference of X can point to new, right? But by using reference of X, I can call only the methods present in X. Only the methods present in superclass. I cannot call extra methods present in Y. If in Y there is some extra method, I cannot call it. This method was a remote example, right? Now, will I be able to call the overridden method? In Y, did I override method A, right? So I will say X dot A, right? Actually, X is pointing to which object? Y. So when I call X dot A, the method A in Y will be called. But in Y, is this A throwing exception? No. But why is it giving compilation error? It's saying unhandled exception, my exception. But I know clearly that in Y, the method A is not throwing an exception. Why is compiler giving me that exception? Because Superclass reference can point to any object at runtime, right? Compiler does not care about what X is pointing to, because X can point to any object at runtime, right? So the compiler will check on what reference are you calling method A? X. In X, A, is it throwing any exception? Yes. Right? So compiler will not agree until you catch. Right? So you have to surround it with a try catch block. Right? But actually at runtime, X is pointing to Y object, and this method is not throwing any exception. So no problems. Anyways, for security reason, you have kept in a catch block, right? So there will be no problem. Anyway, for safety you have caught here. There will be no problem, right? But let's take a reverse. Right? What is the reverse? Suppose if Y is declaring that it throws some other exception, say my exception. So in here also it is my exception. No, okay. It throws some other thing other than the one present in superclass. Now tell me, whenever I am calling x.a, the compiler will ask me to catch which exception? Here I am calling x.a. Compiler will ask me to catch which one? My exception or exception? In class Y, the method is throwing exception. In class X, it is throwing my exception. So here the compiler is asking me to catch which exception? Which one? The one present in X, right? So if I catch my exception, is the compiler satisfied? Happy? But at runtime, method A may throw exception. Did I catch it? No. Even though method A is throwing compile time exception, I may miss catching it. Right? So that is the reason your subclass, the overridden method, should throw either same exception, or it may not throw, but it cannot throw extra exceptions than the one declared in the right. Just analyze. It throws either same exception or need not throw exception, or subtype of the ones present in the above. Right? Please just think logically. You have to keep such a code in finally block. What is the meaning of finally block? If no exception occurs in try block, the control will come here and will execute finally. If exception occurs in finally block, the control will come out, execute catch, and then execute finally. Right? So finally block will be executed in any case whether exception occurs or not. Like if you have some code where you are opening a database connection in try block. Here you are opening a connection. After opening a connection, here at this line, you got some exception here. At the end of try block, you are closing the connection. But will the connection dot close will be executed? No, because exception occurred at this line connection not closed will not be executed. But once you open any connection, it should be closed. So connection not closed should be executed whether exception occurs or not. So where should you keep connection not closed? In finally. Right? So if you have some statements which should be executed in any case whether exception occurs or not, you can keep it in finally block. What is finalize and what is finally? Yesterday we talked about finalize. What is finalize? Like you can say destruct. So when an object is getting garbage collected, just before an object is garbage collected, the garbage collected method will call finalize method. There is finalize method declared in which class? Who is the parent of all classes? In object class finalize method is there. You can override this finalize method if you want. So when the object is getting garbage collected, just before it is garbage collected, finalize method will be called, and then the object is garbage. Finally method comes in exception handling. Finally is a block. Finalize is a method. Finally block will be executed whether exception occurs or not. Right? Now I have a small doubt. This x dot a is throwing my exception, is it? I don't want to write a catch block. I don't want to catch it. See here, it's giving a error y unhandled. So if I don't want to handle the exception, what I can do? I can make my main to throw exception, right? So I'll just say throw, add throws declaration, right? So if any exception occurs, these lines will not be executed. The control will go to the caller. But finally block, will it be executed now? So you can have only try finally. You can have try catch finally, or you can have only try catch. Right? Read out. That's what I said earlier. I can have try catch. I can have try catch finally. I can have try finally. Any combination. But only single try cannot be there. Try has to be accompanied with either catch or finally or both. And try finally catch cannot be there. If it all three has to come, first try, then catch, then finally. I am writing try catch finally. Let's say I will write one more method here, public void method m, and inside method m I am doing this. This is, I'll make it a static for now. Okay, then from main I'll call. Okay, now see here. In catch block, after catching, what I'll do is I'll say return. What does return statement do? The control will return to the caller. Now in this case, finally, is it executed or not? Let's take the case. It's executed. Exception is thrown in A. Catch block is executed. Return. Return means control should return. Now finally it's executed. Or I said return. Why is it executing finally? Finally will be executed in any case. Even though if you return, just before returning, you say please give me a chance, I'll execute finally, and I'll go. So even though it's a return, before returning it will execute and go. Right? Okay. Now tell me. system.exit. System is a class and exit is static method. If we say system.exit, we are telling that this program should terminate. Exit, just like it's here exit, right? System.exit, it should terminate. How tells me the finding block executed? No? Before exiting, just give me chance, I'll execute fine and come.
There is no use even if it executes.
You said exit, anyway program is going to terminate. Why to worry about closing a connection? Generally in finding block, what we do? We close the connection or do something, right? Anyway the program is going to terminate. Program is terminated, every connection will be closed, everything will be fine. So why to execute finally? So only in this case of system.exit, finally block will not be executed. In rest all cases, whatever case might be, finally block is executed, then only the control will go, right? Only in case of system.exit it will not. Why exit 0? Why is exit taking a parameter? In C also you might have called exit, C or C++. What is the parameter designate?
You can write more than one.
Okay, correct. What does that designate? Status code. So when you are saying exit, are you exiting successfully or terminating unsuccessfully? Status code 0 means successful termination. Okay, you are satisfied, you are terminating successfully. But other than 0, any other value, that means unsuccessful termination. Right? Forcefully you are terminating. So the JM should understand how you are terminating. Whether successfully you are terminating or unsuccessfully. Right? So that's the reason. Now we have done with exception handling. Now let us talk about what is an error. Tell me what is an error? Bug is different, error is different. Compilation error, that is different. Compilation error you are showing, that is different. But I say there is an error in your program. Okay, it's a bug.
Not behaving as it should behave. Program is not behaving the way it's supposed to.
Yes. The program is not behaving. Okay, then it is equal to bug now. It's your own mistake. Okay, I'll tell you an example. Okay, then you will give me the answer. For every thread there will be a stack. The values inside the local variables inside a method are kept on top of the. So you know recursion, right? Recursion is calling the same method itself again and again. It's called as recursion, right? Now tell me, I'll just write this code. What will happen? Just write recursion or error demo. I'll say error demo. I'll have main, and if I say, if I call main inside main, my personal, it requires string arguments, right? But before calling, I'll say string yes is equals to what am I doing? I'm calling main inside main. Now my requirement, actually this seems to be very foolish. Why are you calling main inside main? But requirement is like this. If I call same function recursively for 1 lakh times, my business logic will succeed. That's the requirement. It might, right? If the same method is called 1 lakh times, my logic might succeed. Like, I think you might have executed factorial. Factorial you will call recursively, right? You are calling same method again. But inside that method we are having if condition, when to return from this method. Right? Suppose if I ask you to find a factorial for 1 crore. Factorial for 1 crore. Definitely will be calling same method again and again and again 1 crore times. Right? But when you are calling a method, the values of the local variables during that method call are kept on top of that. So what will happen is the stack stack size grows continuously. 1 crore times if you call, the variables are stored 1 crore times, right? So stack size will grow. Some point of time, there is a maximum size for a stack. It likes it. The stack will overflow, right? Tell me, is that my programming logic mistake? No, I want factoring for 1 crore. My program will work, but the computer is not supporting. The computer says the maximum size of the stack which I can hold is this much. By default, the stack size depends on the operating system. Stack size allocated for a thread depends upon the operating system. So for Solaris, I know that the default maximum size of a stack can be 64 KB, kilobytes. More than that, it cannot. So, depending upon the operating system, the stack size will be there, right? Suppose if I am running my program on Windows, stack size let's say is 64 KB. On Windows it will not work. But if I run it on Ubuntu machine or Red Hat machine, it may work because the Linux might have allocated more stack size, right? So the problem is not in my logic, it is the environment in which it is running. If it is running in Ubuntu, it is working fine. If it is running in Windows, it is not working fine. So that's the problem with the environment, Windows problem. That's not my program's problem, right? So errors are not due to our logical errors, due to our mistake. Errors are because of the environment in which we are running, right? So I'll just run it. Let's see what will happen. So I got an exception. See, the stack is called main. What is the exception I got? Stack overflow error. So when stack size is finished, the JVM will throw an error, stack overflow, right? Similarly, memory out of memory. So for JVM there will be a heap, maximum heap size, right? If you are creating objects, continuously you are creating objects. At some point of time there will be no memory. So at that time JVM will throw out of memory error. So is that because of your programming logic? No. It is just because the environment in which my program is running is not supporting. Right? So errors are not due to our programming mistake. It is due to the environment in which it is running. Right? So if my training has to go successfully, projector should be on. What if projector does not work? Is it my problem? It is the company's problem, right? So environment. See, company is providing me an environment to teach, right? So if my training has to go fine, everything should be fine. Something is going wrong, it's not my problem. Similarly, it's not, errors are not due to our problem, right? Okay, fine. If you catch errors, can you catch errors? Yes. See the documentation. Throwable is superclass. As said, there are two subclasses: exception and error. Error is subclass of throwable. So you can throw an error, and you can catch error, right? But if you catch error, is there any use? Say JVM is throwing out of memory error. There is no memory. Even if you catch it, you cannot do anything because there is no memory. So even though you catch error, there is no use. So if error occurs, your program will terminate. No problem, right? But for the next time, you should take care that more memory is allocated to your JVM. By default, whenever your JVM starts, it allocates the maximum memory. But you understood by regression testing, by doing some regression testing, you understood that your application requires 4 GB of memory, 4 GB of heap size it requires, right? So what you do is you have to request the operating system to allocate 4 GB of heap memory. Otherwise your program is going to fail, right? So you have to request the operating system. So how do you request? Let's see. Whenever you are running a Java program, you run it like this. You just go to command prompt, I'll just go to the workspace. I'll just take any program. Yeah, this singleton example I'll take. Simple, I'll just go here. Any program I'm taking. So Java, how to execute com dot mysys dot singleton example. I'll say space cp space dot. What? Oh. In my singleton example, I opened a calculator, that runtime.exec. So if a run was executing, right? But this is a very small program, it does not require more heap memory. Suppose if this same program requires some 4 GB of memory, how to run the program? How to make a request to the operating system to allocate customers, right? Just see here, I'll just type Java space Java and press enter. Is it giving me all the options how to run this Java command? Right? Now same, I'll just say Java space -x and press enter. See, it's giving all the X options of Java, starting with, there is something called as XSS. By using -XSS, you can set the Java thread stack size. If you feel that you want a stack size of 1 MB, your program wants stack size of 1 MB, you can set it by using -XSS. And here -XMS stands for set initial Java heap size. In heap memory only objects are stored, right? So initially when the program starts, it should start with some 256 MB of memory, right? When the program starts, initially it should be allocated 256 MB of memory, but maximum should be allocated up to 4 GB, right? So you can specify XMS, minimum initial Java heap size, and XMX is for maximum heap size. So how I'll do it? Java space -x ms is for initial heap size. Initial I want 256 MB of memory. You have to specify in MBs 256 M. So when my program starts, initially for Java heap 256 MB is allocated. Space XMX 1024 means 1 GB. 4 into 1024 4096. Okay. On my laptop 4 GB is not there. I'll just say 1024 M. So if the program requires more and more heap size, dynamically the heap size will be increased maximum up to 1 GB. So I'll just then write com.mysys.singleton example. You see, it worked. Actually this program didn't require 1 GB of memory, but still I want to show you how to pass the virtual memory argument. These are called as virtual memory arguments. You are passing the arguments to virtual memory. How to pass command line arguments? After your class name, whatever you pass is command line arguments. Whatever you pass here like this, hyphen, using hyphen, these are virtual memory arguments. You are passing arguments to your virtual memory, saying requires the operating system to give initiate 256 MB, and if the size is not sufficient, you can go up to 1024 MB or whatever you specify, right? Options are virtual memory. Anything here with hyphen before your class name are virtual memory arguments. Right? But again, I didn't keep a condition. No? This is for, I showed you only for XMS and XMX. This I showed you for heap. What is the argument for stack? XSS. XSS. So it will increase the heap size. But what is the maximum heap size? If I continuously call main inside main, it will never terminate. Definitely it's going. If I had an if condition, say for after 1000 times, so these are to handle error. So when error occurs, your program will now terminate. But next time when you are running your program, you have to give appropriate values here, so that it will not terminate again for the same reason. Right? So what will happen after your development? Your testers will be doing some regression testing. In regression testing, they'll say, they'll find 1 GB is not sufficient. So next time when you are running again the same test, we'll say 1.5 GB, 2 GB. So you can increase like that. After doing all regression testing, you will understand, okay, my application requires a maximum of 3 GB. So you can set it, right? But when you run, your program will terminate when you run. So you understood the differences between exception error? Any doubts? That's it about exception handling.